So today I am going to show you how we oil our butcher block countertops. They are unfinished. So we decided not to finish them when we redid the kitchen because I read a lot of places that you would have to prepare, you wouldn't be able to prepare food on it if it was finished with like polyurethane or something that's not food grade. And so we decided not to finish them. So they have been unfinished since we moved in. And so technically you're supposed to oil them probably once a week. I've read some places that you oil them once a week every day, or once a day for a week, and then once a week for a month, and then once a month after that. We have never been consistent on it like we're supposed to be. So I'm going to show you how we do it today. Our countertops are super dry, and if you let the wood get that way, water takes moisture out of it somehow, and it makes it rough, and it just looks really dull. So I'm going to oil the countertops. I'm not an expert. This is just what we do. I'm not a contractor, so I really don't know what, maybe the perfect way to do it would be. But this is how we do it, and it works for us. And eventually we are going to finish the countertops because we find that we don't prepare food on it because it's hard to clean unfinished wood. You can't use like a Clorox wipe on it. And so we plan to finish it as soon as we find some days that we can do it and not be here, because the fumes will probably not be very pleasant, especially with small children. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys. If you have any comments or suggestions, just put it down below, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. See you next time. By removing everything off the countertops. On this countertop next to the stove, it doesn't really get wet, so you really don't need to do any kind of coarse sanding, just a very fine. I'm just using the 320 and I just fold the paper in half and just use my hand to wipe it on there, because you really don't have to do anything heavy duty. But if you see some spills, you just sand them right off of there. If you had, like my daughter one time wrote with a pen on our countertops, and we just sanded it out, which was really convenient. So you just use a fine grit sandpaper for the areas that don't really get wet and go over the whole thing. Another thing is you really want to go with the grain of the wood. You don't want to go against the grain, because you can see those marks if you do it that way. And don't forget your edges in the front. Okay. So now I'm going to take a damp paper towel and just get the dust off. bit closer to the sink so you can see a difference here that you can see where the water spots have gotten, water has gotten onto the countertop. So I'm gonna have to use a little bit more of a coarse sandpaper to get that out. Because I'm scrubbing a little bit harder, and I'm gonna use a 220, which is still fine, but not as fine as the 320. And I'm gonna use this block to kind of help me put a little pressure on it. And still make sure you're going with the grain of the wood. So I noticed I had a spill right here. I have no idea what that is. But if you use a very coarse sandpaper, then you can just sand that out. So I'm gonna try a 60, which is very coarse, and see what happens. So you can tell it took quite a bit of elbow grease, and I still didn't get it all out, but it is much lighter than it was before. We are planning on finishing these because this is a lot of upkeep. So we'll probably take the industrial sander to them to get places like that out before we finish them. So I'm going to go behind that 60 grit with a 220. To kind of even it out, because that makes the wood pretty coarse. the first section that I did, and it's been about 20 minutes since I put it on there. And you remember how wet it was when I started, and it has just absolutely soaked that up because we do not do this as often as we should. So the bottle says to wipe off the excess after 20 minutes, but I will actually let this sit all day and soak that in because it's gonna need it. The other cleaner, ran out of the Howard Butcher Block conditioner. The only other oil I have in the house right now, I got from Grove Collaborative. I was gonna try this stuff out. It is by Real Simple, and it is cutting board oil, unscented. I didn't see if they had a scented version. If so, I might have tried it out. But anyway, so this, you can tell, is more of a liquid, so it probably will not last as long as the stuff that has the wax in it. So for this, you just you know, sand it, wipe it down, clean it really good. On here it says to wash it with soap and water, allow it to dry, and then apply with a clean cloth and allow it to soak in for 2 to 3 minutes, and then remove excess. But I'll do the same thing with this that I did with that and let it soak in all day, because we don't do this often enough to wipe away the excess. So like for the first week, they say to apply it daily, and we've just not been disciplined enough to do that, even though we should. So I'm gonna try this for the first time on the bar area. So this is what the bar looks like before. You can see it's dull. Doesn't really have a good sheen to it. Just looks kind of ashy, you know, down through there. And then this is what I've already done with the wax. So we'll see how the oil compares to the wax. You can see the drier parts of the wood have already soaked in the oil, and looks like I need more on there. So we definitely like the kind with the wax in it. Seems like it just goes further. And then with just the oil, I used almost a half a bottle just for the bar top. And with the wax with the oil, I was able to do all of my other countertop surfaces with just like a third of bottle of the wax and oil. can just tell after you condition the countertops that it really enhances the color and just makes the wood look so much nicer. This is more what it would look like if you had it finished. Of course, the bar top is still soaking in the liquid oil, and I would say, let's see, it's been about an hour actually, so I may actually have to wipe some of that up, but I will probably just let it continue to soak in, whereas the wax has already soaked all the way in. There might be a place or two right here where it's a little thick, but I'm just going to let that continue to soak in. And it soaked in enough for me to put some things back on the countertops. But if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, just like it, share it, leave a comment below and let me know if there's anything else I can show you. And I hope that you have a blessed day.